European leaders also discussed the broader coalition fight against the terror group ISIL with President Obama, but ordering additional forces to Syria comes at a time when he's also trying to downplay the growing number of American soldiers operating in the Middle East. CCTV's Jessica Stone joins us from the White House. And Jessica, this is the second troop announcement in a week, isn't it?
It is, and that's just in Iraq. And of course, this now the second troop announcement in Syria, all of it coming at a time when the president really does want to downplay the number of soldiers that are operating in the Middle East. And also after repeated commitments not to put U.S. boots on the ground, now we're seeing these repeated escalation of small deployments in the fight against ISIL.
It would be a mistake for the United States or Great Britain or a combination of Western states to send in ground troops.
Hours after calling ground troops in Syria a mistake in an interview with the BBC, U.S. President Barack Obama announced 250 more American soldiers are heading to Syria, including special forces, to provide what he called momentum in the fight against ISIL or Daesh. U.S. officials deny there is any contradiction in the White House strategy in Syria.
It is not mission creep if it's the same mission. And it's the same mission. And he introduced about 50 special operations forces on the ground. They've had a positive impact on our ability to go after Daesh inside Syria. And because it has been successful, we want to intensify.
This video from France 24 claims to show some of the first 50 American special forces already on the ground in Syria. The video shows them acting as spotters for U.S. airstrikes in the town of Shadadi. U.S. officials say the additional soldiers will advise and train Syrian opposition forces and recruit more Sunni Arabs to fight Daesh. Just last week, the U.S. added 217 more American troops to advise and train forces in Iraq. Administration critics like Senator John McCain are accusing the White House of, quote, gradual escalation that, quote, will not undo the damage in Syria. He's advocating a much greater commitment of U.S. forces. Reaction from the Kremlin, which is also operating airstrikes in Syria, was much more muted. A spokesperson declined to comment directly, saying simply, the Russian contingent is in Syria on legal grounds on the basis of Syria's request. But on the ground, a shaky negotiated ceasefire has all but collapsed. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said 19 civilians were killed Monday alone in fighting in Aleppo. And the political transition talks are caught up in intractable differences between the Syrian government and the opposition. So how do U.S. officials determine the difference between ground troops and these troops? Well, they say ground troops really refers to combat troops, large-scale deployments. This is a small-scale deployment, and these troops are not in combat. They're training and advising, although they will be near the front lines. Mike?
Jessica Stone, live for us at the White House. Thanks so much.